is moving around and God forbid they move into an IED system, there must be an ambulance to offer first aid before they are able to reach back to the barracks and be airlifted here into Nairobi. So in this particular scenario, we are traveling via road, so anything can happen on the road. They do not want to leave anything to chance. Anyone can faint, something can be needed to help medically in the convoy. So instead of waiting to rush them to the nearest hospital, they will be the first responders on the ground as the motorcade stops a bit, and maybe the rest of the house is allowed, but whoever needs the medical care will be handed that critical care immediately and rushed to the nearby hospital.
All right. And speaking of him being taken by road, have you had any explanation as to why that is? And I know there are those who are saying his final journey will perhaps significantly take him via Thika Road, because he's being buried at his Othaya home. There will be a service before then at the approved grounds, and then now he will be buried. So it's significant perhaps to mention that he will be going by way of Thika Road, a road for which he celebrated as part of his legacy. Many of us, when we think of Thika Road, we think the late retired president.
Life, and a man who he has mourned. Looking at his face yesterday, he seems like his eyes were a bit puffy. Maybe he's a man who's been sobbing underneath the sheets because he's just lost two significant father figures in the last 2 years. President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi in 2020, now President Kibaki dying again in 2022. Him feeling exposed, the leadership that made him to a certain extent who he is no longer there. So he leaves office as the only retired president of this country. So probably he seeks to honor their legacy by doing one way or the other, and also maybe getting counsel from the family. The family has a say and say, maybe we wish to have him escorted via a military chopper. Then the state says, for us, this idea is let's do this, let's honor him in this way. Othaya is about 2 hours away from Nairobi. The gun carriage will take cue, or maybe it will be the hearse this time around, and moving slowly to allow people, because it's open on either side, and you can see the casket well enough. Many Kenyans I know, because today is a Saturday, will be lining up the streets. I know there already information that people around the Kennel area are waiting. They started camping around the streets as early as 4 or 5 in the morning, just to catch a glimpse of a leader who served them and spoke to their hearts for several years, and not only in the 10 years that he was the president of the Republic of Kenya. So Olive, today really the military gets to show off what they can do in terms of honoring their commander-in-chief and just going through the paces to secure this particular convoy and motorcade as it leaves here in the Lee Funeral Hall, snaking its way into major roads around Nairobi and then into Central Province.
And I'm curious, is the family going to accompany the hearse, and is the president going to be part of that convoy?
Now, some of those details are not privy to us because of, like I said, security reasons. He may choose to accompany the convoy or just fly to Othaya and be on standby to receive the body. Yesterday, what we saw is that there were 2 vehicles where the family was able to accompany the body. So I'm thinking it may not augur well if the family does not accompany the body. So maybe 1 or 2 of the relatives will be on hand. And Mark, I know we have to give it back to you, but those are some of the nitty-gritties that people will be looking out for in terms of how to maintain the African culture vis-a-vis a state funeral, and how a state would honor their fallen leader.
And this is just the beginning of our special coverage this morning. We will stay with the convoy. In fact, Leila Mohammed is traveling alongside it, or behind, or security reasons, I'm not clear on that, but she will be following
duties out here and be in charge. At some point, they took over the security details of Parliament buildings where the body was lying in state. We've gone through the paces of telling you who is a significant part of this whole motorcade and convoy. Today, again, we will see them do it in their stellar fashion.
True.
The Kenya Army being at the lead of this flanked by the Kenya Navy and the Kenya Air Force. But the Navy will be a significant player this day because they will be now honoring the late president with the gun salute at the burial site in Odhaya. Those pictures we will be able to get via a link, because we know that the state has already declared that at the burial site it will only be President Uhuru Kenyatta, a few dignitaries and the family at that place. So as we see the convoy leave the Lee Funeral Home, one characteristic you will be able to notice is also police officers will line up the road like they did yesterday, maybe not in their number one uniform as we saw yesterday, but everyone is expected to be on the road and to do the salute, the final salute to a former commander-in-chief of the Defense Forces. And when we say Defense Forces, doesn't necessarily mean the Kenya Defense Forces, because there is the Intelligence Service, the National Police Service.
If I can just ask you to explain what a number one uniform is to those who are laymen, such as myself.
So the dark blue outfit that you see the IG in, with the hat. And he looks really stellar, and he can even do the sword. That is a number one outfit. You've seen like the gentleman standing behind us, the military police officer, the one in the red cap. That's a number one uniform. It's khaki in color. For the Air Force, it's dark blue. And for the Kenya Navy, for the commissioned officers, it's a white suit. For the non-commissioned officers, they wear the sailor's uniform, the one where they have the lines out here. And the boots, someone was asking me yesterday, why are the Kenya Navy officers wearing gumboots? Those are not gumboots. It's a special leather wrapper on top of the boot. It's a tradition by all navies across, just to know who a sailor is.
And
that's their official.
You bring up the Navy, because you say they will give a gun salute.
Yes.
That is at the burial site?
At the burial site.
And is it a 21? Because when I hear of gun salutes, I automatically assume 21. Is that the number, and what is the significance?
There are several numbers of gun salutes, all the way from 7 to 21, depending on the rank of the official, the time of their death. Did he die during office? He's a retired head of state, and thus he will be granted the 19 gun salute. If they choose to go ahead and do the 21, there's nothing wrong with that. However, the 19 is the most viable to happen at this hour of the moment, because he has died as a retired commander-in-chief. God forbid, and wouldn't want that.